Hi everybody, Doug Bench here with you again from BrainApples.com. We're here with you again this evening for another Byte-Size Brain Apple. This is Byte-Size Brain Apple number 3 in a series of who knows how many, hundreds possibly, of bite-sized brain apple tips for you to advance your achievements, all based on brain science discoveries of the last 10 years. You know, they're starting to call me America's B.S. Doctor. I didn't like that in the beginning, but now I think that's a grand idea. B.S. stands for brain science. Everything we talk to you about is in one of our 2 books, Do-It-Yourself Brain Surgery or Kiss Your Old Brain Goodbye, Revolutionize Your Brain. Tonight's lesson is one of the 12 huge discoveries of brain science of the last 12 years. It's called your RAS. I call it RACE for short because it is fast, it is powerful, it is a discovery that if you apply it correctly will greatly advance your motivation, automate your motivation in fact, and greatly advance your achievements. So stay tuned for that brain apple. Here we go. You know, several years ago I bought a Chevrolet Tahoe, great big SUV. Now, I had never owned a Chevy Tahoe before. I'd never owned an SUV before. And I was emotionally nervous about buying it because the doggone thing cost more than 3 times what my first house did. That'd make anybody nervous. But I bought that thing. I thought it over. I looked for the best deal. I bought an SUV, had an OnStar antenna, had leather heated seats. Man, it was fancy. I was proud of it. I picked that thing up and I drove it home. And from then on, I was mad as a hornet. You know why? Because everybody in the state of Florida, or it seemed like it, everybody that owned a Chevy Tahoe moved into my neighborhood. I started seeing them everywhere. There goes another Tahoe, just like mine. There goes another Tahoe, just like mine. I started seeing them everywhere. Was I looking for them? Nope. They just started showing up. Something was going on. Well, if something's going on, it must have been going on in my brain, and it was. And what was going on is vitally important to your achievements and motivation. You see, the scientists have discovered an automated system in your brain that monitors and speeds the transmission of impulses through your brain depending on the type of impulse that it is. Now, this system, called your reticular activating system, is a bundle of neurons in the back portion of your head. Back where the occipital lobe hangs out, which controls your sight, is this bundle of neurons that works together and has several functions called your reticular activating system. One of its functions is when an impulse comes in your brain, something you touch, something you see, something you smell, something you think, your reticular activating system takes a look at that impulse, determines what kind of impulse it is, and sends it to the proper part of the brain for interpretation. Here comes an impulse of a sound. That needs to go to the temporal lobes for interpretation, and it sends it there. Here comes a sight impulse. Well, that recognizes it as a sight, sends it to the occipital lobes for interpretations. That's one of the things your RAS does. Another thing your RAS does that's vitally important. And remember, I said it's in the automated portion of your brain. You see, you have no conscious control over what it does. That could be a bad thing, or it could be a very, very good thing. For example, if you're going down a residential street and a ball bounces out into the street, bam, your foot comes off of the gas, goes onto the brake nearly instantly. That's because your RAS is monitoring everything that your eyes see. And when it saw that ball coming across the street, there were stress or anxiety signals with that impulse, so that it immediately sent that impulse to your amygdala, which ordered a release of epinephrine or adrenaline, which instantly gave your legs quicker and more strength, made it quicker and gave it more strength to remove your foot from the gas and put it on the brake. You didn't even have to consciously think about it. As a matter of fact, all that happened so fast before you even knew it was a ball. That's a good thing. You see, impulses that are traveling through your automated brain Your non-conscious brain travel up to 800 times faster than your conscious thoughts. That's a very good thing. Especially if a child is following that ball into the street. You don't have to wait till you consciously think, oh, that's a ball. Oh, that could have a child after it. Bam. Ooh, not cool. So it's very good that it works automatically and works very quickly. Now here's the third thing that your RAS does, and this is something that is vitally important to your achievements, reaching goals, and having success. What your RAS does is, remember my story about the Tahoe? Your RAS has what I like to call an important list. It has a list posted on the wall there in your brain that are all the things that are important to you at that time. And if an impulse comes into your brain relative to anything that's on your important list, your RAS will send that impulse to your conscious level and you will respond to it. You have no choice. You will either respond to it or react to it or make a decision about it, but it's automatic that you must do one of those things. That's a very good thing as well. You see, Tahoes got on my important list because I now owned a Tahoe. Tahoe was very emotionally important to me because it was stressful buying that thing that cost so darn much. Because I loved it. It was big, it was beautiful, had heated seats. My wife loves that. But it was important to me because I had been thinking about it quite often each day. So it got on my important list, and when impulses come into my brain from my eyes, for example, that see another Tahoe going up the interstate, I wouldn't even be looking at it consciously. But my non-conscious eyes would see it. I might be over here fiddling with the stereo or putting in a new CD, and something would automatically turn my head every time a Tahoe went by. Have you experienced that when you got a new vehicle? You started seeing them everywhere, didn't you? Well, that's a wonderful thing. See if you agree. What if you could get on your RAS important list everything about your goals, what you wanted to achieve in the next 6 months or the next year? What if you thought about it in the right way enough times over about a 21 to 30 day period? And we're going to teach you how to do that. Not in this bite-size brain apple. We don't have that much time in these little short snippets that we put up on YouTube. That'll be in another one. Or you can get our books, Revolutionize Your Brain or Do-It-Yourself Brain Surgery, or better yet, both of them, brainapples.com, and you can exercise this technique. But what happens is you go through this process on your RAS, right there on the wall in the back of your brain, thumbtacks it on, your goals and everything about them, so that any time an impulse comes into your brain, from sight, from sound, from a thought, anything related to your goals, bam, it sends it to your conscious level for interpretation. You have no choice. You must react to it, respond to it, or make a decision about it. You can't miss it. It's automatic. It's automated. You see, if something comes into your brain from a thought, from hearing, or from sight that's not on your important list, guess what your RAS does? It sends it to your non-conscious brain, storage areas of your brain, for memory storage. You don't respond to things that aren't on your important list. So I like to call it motivation automation. You can automate your motivation by getting on your important list in your reticular activating system those particular precise things about your goals. And then every time, every day that one of these comes up, bam, your RAS makes you respond to it. You have no choice. You start noticing things you never noticed before. Now, you know, the New Age guru people, they call this the law of attraction. And it's contributed to the tremendous popularity of this movie and book called The Secret. The Secret's been on the bestseller list for months and months and months. It's a wonderful thing, but it's not a secret where something magically comes to you from the universe just because you think about wanting it. It's because of what's going on in your brain. You learned how to change your brain. You can change your life. The secret about the secret is your RAS in your brain. You get things on your important list, bam, your achievements will take a skyrocketing quantum leap forward. This is Doug Bench, America's B.S. Doctor, and this has been Byte-Size Brain Apple number 3. Now, if you want, go down here on the page and make a comment. Love to read them. And pass this on to your friends. This is the B.S. Doctor. See you next time on Bite-Sized Brain Apples.